when the world still sleeps, and the air has not yet learned the noise of human thoughts, a silent question visits you. It does not speak in words, but you feel it inside your chest. Who will command you today? Your mind or your mood? That is the quiet battle of the first hour. Most people never notice it. They wake, drift, and surrender before the day has even begun. But the disciplined one, he wakes not to comfort, but to clarity. He knows whoever you obey in the first hour will rule you for the next 20. 3. The first hour of the morning is not just a portion of time. It is a revelation. It quietly exposes what truly governs your inner world. The body wakes, the eyes open, and before the mind has found its balance, something else stirs. The pull of comfort, the desire for ease, the quiet temptation to delay the day. Most people think they are in control at that moment, but they are not. They are being led by invisible impulses, small but powerful. The way you respond to those impulses determines the entire rhythm of your day. If you yield, you have already declared who you serve. But if you observe and rise above, you reclaim the authority that belongs only to consciousness. That is why the morning is sacred. It does not lie to you. It simply mirrors the hierarchy inside you. Every morning, there is a silent test, and you don't even need an audience for it. The first minute after waking is enough to reveal the truth of your discipline. Will you obey the whisper of your mood or the command of your mind? In that moment, there is no one to motivate you, no one to applaud, and no one to hold you accountable. It is only you and the unseen forces within. The weak self that craves comfort and the higher self that seeks order. The decision to rise when the body still aches, to move when the thoughts are heavy, is not about success or ambition. It is about mastery. Mastery over the self that has ruled you for too long. The morning strips away excuses because there is nothing external to blame. It is you against you. When the mind is still half asleep, your inner conditioning reveals itself. If you have lived your days reacting to emotion, then the first hour will feel like resistance. Your body will protest, your thoughts will argue, and your mood will try to negotiate for comfort. But this friction is not the enemy. It is the teacher, the one who understands. This does not resent discomfort. He welcomes it as proof that transformation is possible. You cannot build strength without resistance, and you cannot develop clarity without facing chaos. Every time you defeat the first impulse to surrender, you are teaching your subconscious that the mind is in command. That single decision to move, to breathe, to rise becomes the foundation of internal authority. This is why the wise treat the first hour as sacred ground. They do not waste it scrolling through distractions or chasing stimulation. They use it to reclaim the throne of their consciousness. In that early silence, before the world imposes its noise, they choose intention over instinct. Because they know the one who wins the first hour wins the day. If you start the morning by obeying your higher reasoning, the rest of the day naturally follows its order. But if you begin by obeying emotion, you spend the day untangling the chaos that began at dawn. So understand this deeply. The morning is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to choose your master. Every sunrise invites you to take back command of your life. One deliberate decision at a time. Your mood is like weather. It changes without permission, unpredictable, unstable, and often influenced by forces you do not fully understand. It is born from sleep, from dreams, from small disappointments that linger in your subconscious. When you wake, it arrives before reason does, whispering things that sound convincing. Stay a little longer. It's too early. Today will be hard. And if you listen to it, you hand over control before the day even begins. The mood wants comfort. It survives on avoidance. It finds ways to justify its weakness by making you believe you are being kind to yourself. But true kindness is not indulgence. It is command. The mind, unlike mood, is the architect of order. It does not beg for permission. It gives direction. It understands that emotion is temporary, but discipline is permanent. The struggle between the two begins the moment your eyes open. If you allow mood to lead, your day becomes a series of reactions. Every challenge that appears will shape you, push you, disturb you, because your emotional foundation is soft. When the first hour belongs to mood, the rest of the day belongs to chaos. You will chase balance, but never find it. You will crave motivation, but never feel it. Mood is like a tide. It rises, it falls, it drags you wherever it pleases. The mind, however, is the anchor. It holds still even when the waves become violent. That is why those who practice mastery seek command over their first feelings instead of being carried away by them. They understand that the morning is not meant to feel good. It is meant to become strong. You do not need a pleasant morning. You need a powerful one. And that power comes when the mind replaces mood as the authority. The mind does not reject emotion. It observes it. It sees fear, laziness, doubt, and hesitation, but it does not kneel to them. Instead, it studies their rhythm, understands their triggers, and then decides consciously. This is the art of internal leadership. The mind's greatest strength is not that it suppresses emotion, but that it directs it. It can transform irritation into energy, fear into focus, pain into awareness. That is how discipline is built. Not by fighting against feelings, but by turning them into fuel. This is the difference between those who rise with purpose and those who drown in mood. The one who commands his thoughts shapes his world. The one who obeys emotion remains trapped in it. When you start the morning by thinking consciously, you create psychological momentum. That momentum becomes armor for the rest of the day. Mood seeks comfort because it fears challenge, and it fears challenge because it knows growth destroys its control. The mind, on the other hand, respects challenge because it knows that friction sharpens clarity. Each morning is an invitation to either escape or evolve. The body may feel tired, the thoughts may feel heavy, but the act of rising itself is a statement of defiance. When you move despite emotion, you prove to yourself that you are not a servant of your moods. You are their master. The first hour, then, becomes your training ground for all hours. If you teach your mind to lead when it is hardest, it will naturally lead when it is easy. But if you surrender early, you build the habit of weakness. So ask yourself each morning, in silence and sincerity, am I obeying my mind or my mood? The answer to that single question will decide not just your day, but your destiny. The relationship between your thoughts and your emotions is not one of equality. One will always dominate the other. The morning is the arena where this battle first begins. The moment you awaken, you stand between two voices, one that commands reason and one that pleads for comfort. The mind whispers, rise, breathe, move with intention, while the mood softly replies, rest, delay. There is time. This exchange happens so quickly that most people never notice it, but it determines the structure of their entire day. If you learn to pause in that fragile moment, not to obey either voice immediately, but to observe, you begin to awaken consciousness itself. Awareness is the key that separates instinct from mastery. When you recognize that you are not your thoughts or your moods, but the observer behind them, you begin to choose rather than react. That simple act of observation is what turns an ordinary morning into a ritual of power. To understand who truly leads within you, watch how you act when the mind and the mood disagree. When the body says, I am tired, but the purpose says, I must rise. When emotion says, not today, but discipline says now, that is when truth is revealed. The one who obeys the mood lives a reactive life, constantly adjusting, constantly explaining, constantly seeking alignment from external forces. But the one who obeys the mind lives proactively. He creates alignment from within, and the world eventually reflects that order back to him. This is not suppression, it is selection. You choose the authority you follow. Every morning when you open your eyes, the question returns. Who will I obey today? If you do not answer consciously, your mood will answer for you, and it will always choose ease over excellence. The mind, when trained, has the power to reshape the emotional climate. It can turn fatigue into focus and confusion into clarity. But this ability does not appear overnight. It is the result of repetition, of choosing reason over reaction again and again until it becomes natural. The morning is the laboratory for this training. When you sit in silence, when you breathe with awareness, when you move with deliberate intention instead of rushing into the noise of the world, you are wiring your brain to lead. The first hour is not about doing more. It is about being more aware. That awareness expands throughout the day. Into your work, your decisions, your relationships. The mind that begins the day consciously moves through the world with precision. The one that begins in chaos spends the day untangling confusion it created at dawn. To obey your mind does not mean to live without emotion. It means to elevate emotion to serve something higher. Mood is reactive, mind is reflective. Mood wants to escape the present moment. Mind wants to use it. The mind understands that pain, fatigue, and hesitation are not enemies, but signals. Invitations to grow stronger. When you awaken each morning and choose to align with this understanding, you begin to see life differently. The challenges that once discouraged you now sharpen you. The delays that once frustrated you now teach patience. The emotions that once distracted You now become energy directed toward your purpose. This is the transformation that begins in the first hour, a shift from being a servant of your moods to becoming a sculptor of your mind. And once the mind learns to lead, the day bends to your will. The first hour of the morning is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is the time when you decide whether the day will be led by awareness or by autopilot, when you wake and immediately reach for your phone. Your mind begins reacting before it even begins thinking. The external world rushes in, flooding your thoughts before you've even had a chance to hear your own voice. But when you protect that first hour, when you give it silence, movement, reflection, you create a fortress around your mind. You give yourself space to align with purpose before the world demands your attention. The ancient masters always guarded the dawn because they knew how you spend the first light determines how you face the day's storms. In that stillness, you are able to see what usually hides beneath your noise. Your resistance, your laziness, your clarity, your hunger. It all rises to the surface when the morning is quiet enough to listen. The mind is most impressionable when it first awakens. Whatever you feed it in that hour becomes the tone of the entire day. That is why it is dangerous to start with chaos. If the first thing you see is distraction, your thoughts will mirror distraction. If the first thing you feel is rush, your heart will beat in urgency all day. But if you start with discipline, if you start with calm awareness, everything else begins to move in rhythm with it. This is why rituals exist, not to make life rigid, but to make the mind stable. Simple practices like deep breathing, stretching, reading, or sitting in stillness are not mechanical routines. They are silent declarations that say, I lead my energy, I do not chase it. That is how the morning becomes sacred. It is not sacred because of what you do. It is sacred because of how consciously you choose to do it. But there will be days when you wake and feel nothing. No motivation, no clarity, no drive. Those are the mornings that test your discipline the most. That is when your mood will whisper, skip it today, just rest, and your mind will reply, this is exactly why you must begin. You see, discipline is not built on the days you feel strong. It is built on the mornings you feel weak, but still move. Each time you overcome resistance, you build a deeper kind of self-trust. The kind that no motivation video, no book, and no speech can give you, because it comes from experience. You have proven to yourself that you can act without emotion, that you can move without waiting for inspiration. That kind of power cannot be faked. It is forged through repetition in the quiet hours before the world wakes. Every time you rise in defiance of mood, you are rewriting your own identity, from one who obeys feelings to one who commands them. The first hour, then, is not just the start of a new day. It is the reintroduction of yourself to your purpose. When you stand in that early silence, you are standing before your own reflection. Stripped of distraction, stripped of titles, stripped of pretense. You are face to face with who you are when no one is watching. If you treat that hour with awareness, you shape the energy that flows through all the remaining hours. You decide what frequency your mind will vibrate on. If you choose control, the day becomes an extension of your will. If you choose comfort, the day becomes an extension of your weakness. Every sunrise